like a rocket ship. That was like a rocket ship. It was UFO. We were destroying evidence. Hey, how is everybody? I'm sharing right now. I see there's some people watching. Let me look at the comments in case somebody say hello. Hello, everybody. We're going to finish talking about what we were talking about last week. Hey, Mort. How's it going?
Hey,
Thank you
Mort.
for watching. Thank you for coming back. And we're going to finish talking about what we're talking about last week because there were some more developments this week. So we're talking about the Idaho 4 case again. So if anyone has any thoughts about that or opinions, try not to be too vulgar about it, then let us know what you think about it. There's not a wrong answer, so say whatever, as long as you're allegedly behaving, then everything
Respectful.
is good for discussion. So we wanted to talk about, I'm not sure where we left off last week, but there was, since last week, there was a subpoena sent to one of the surviving victims that lived in the basement that had originally, it had been disclosed that she said she didn't see anything, that she woke up the next morning when the 911 call was made at about 11-ish, and the other girl did not know what happened until that time either, the other surviving victim that was one of the roommates. And they were subpoenaing Bethany Funk to travel from Nevada to Idaho to be a part of the preliminary hearing to testify on the behalf of Brian Koberger. So thoughts about that? And then you can say whatever you found out today that you sent me in the video.
Yeah, I seen on Drunk Turkey. They are a podcast on YouTube, and it was just a very short podcast. And he showed documents that he has received that looked official, and they were where she has Bethany. It does not have to travel to Utah. His lawyers are Brian's lawyers are going to travel to Nevada to see her.
Which is how I think it should be. Either that, or I was thinking a Zoom call would be good so she could stay home and still swear, swear under oath and still see what they wanted her to say or what they wanted to ask her, basically. Not what they wanted her to say. I mean, they probably do want her to say some certain things that they're trying to have her to testify on behalf of him, but, whatever her truth is, I'm sure that's what she's going to say. So I'm glad that they're going to go there and do that. Did it say they're going to do that before their preliminary hearing?
Um, I think it's going to be like they said it was sometime between the 27th and the 30th
Of this month?
June.
Okay, so that's the day after the preliminary hearing because the preliminary hearing starts on June the 26th.
So I'm not sure.
Basically, it's the same thing. Maybe they're going to let her like Skype or something and testify. Like they're going to have her from where she's at, or they're going to, I don't know. I don't know how that works. That'll be interesting to see because I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Mm-mm.
I'm sure it's happened before, though, in the history of interviewing somebody or like getting testimony from somebody, a witness.
I'm not sure how they're going to do this. This is all new territory.
Yeah.
I personally think they're grasping at straws, but
they might be, but they might not be. But it also depends on how she says what she says. Does that make sense? Like what she says and how she says it, and if it's going to help have an ace up the sleeve for Brian later to use later on. So I don't know. I'm just interested in seeing that. But so what is anybody's thoughts? What do you guys think? Are you leaning toward what do you guys think he's gonna plead? I don't know. I think that they were actually calling her to help see what she would say, to help decide what he's gonna plead. And with the death penalty being talked about being back on the table now. It's probably going to be a different kind of fear on both sides, but definitely for him. So I'm not taking up for him or anything like that. But nobody that's done a crime wants to get the death penalty. I
No, and in Utah, it has the firing squad.
That's what I thought because I heard somebody or I saw somebody said that. Well, Utah, he's not going to be in Utah. He's going to be in Idaho. But there are actually two
Idaho,
states that have
Idaho,
firing.
Idaho has the firing squad.
Okay, I thought so because I heard someone talking about that. And either Virginia or West Virginia, I also think has still kept the firing squad as an option, but they didn't, just recently reintegrate that into part of the death penalty options. And a lot of that reasoning, I think, I don't know why they did away with the firing squad, but I know why they did away with and why there was such a long period that they didn't have lethal injections. But I don't know with the firing squad, it seems like honestly, like really kind of almost the most humane, quickest way to go. I don't know. It just depends. It probably depends on who's doing the death, who's administering the death to.
I don't know. I would never do anything to get the death penalty because
Well, no, but the four
I just
victims
don't
got
have
the
a
death
heart for it.
penalty. You know what I mean? Those
Hmm.
four victims got the death penalty, and I'm sure they didn't deserve it. And it wasn't, well, I don't know. Allegedly, it wasn't for doing a crime.
This where they're not letting anybody. This
Gag order?
gag order is just torture
Yeah, it is
because
for a
it
lot of
is
people.
letting so many conspiracy theories just run rampant, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody is just running with it, and it
For some
is just.
reason, though, I see so many reasons why they did it, and I've realized like two or three different reasons why they did it.
No,
And
I understand why they did it, but
yeah, well, not just because, okay, so if you're cross examining, if you're a prosecutor and you're cross examining somebody that is allegedly spoken about as being kind of like a mastermind of crime, and if you're thinking that they did commit these horrible crimes and that they are almost they're they were he was about to be, I'm going to say about to be because now I don't know what's going to happen, but he was fixing to be a doctor of criminal psychology or criminology. So if you're that smart and you've gone through that much school and you've spent that many nights, days, hours, years going to school to be a doctor of criminal psychology or criminology, then you know a lot of history and a lot of mistakes and a lot of lessons that other killers before have learned from, done, and how to prevent those things and how to be smart about doing something through some of the research that I read provided from different resources that were legit resources of some of the research and stuff that he had to do working with real criminals that had actually committed murder and had, I mean, red rum and other criminal activities. I guess you can, I don't want to say learn from the best, but I guess you would be learning from the best. I also saw an article today, and I don't know if it's legit because there's no actual documentation on it. But I saw also where someone had leaked out that Bethany had seen a naked man running through the house.
I seen that too, and I just I fail to see where that doesn't make any sense.
Well, it does, but where did he go? And why was he naked? Like if that happened for real, if that actually was like actually happened, why was he naked? Where did he go? Where was he running? and when did that happen? Because I didn't see a time attached to it. I just saw that that night she supposedly allegedly saw a naked man running through the house. So you can imagine it being a party house, and you imagine all these attractive women being in there. Mm, kind of think about it, and it also kind of like plants some other seeds in my mind. But with I won't like go down a rabbit hole with that until I see an actual document supporting that it is legit, or an affidavit showing that that was part of her testimony that they got from her, or part of like her witness account. Until then, it's just hearsay.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the other crap. Like it was the DoorDash guy, or I mean the Uber Eats. Was it Uber Eats? Grubhub. It was Grubhub.
Grubhub.
He was the Grubhub guy that that was a rumor for a while too,
Yeah.
and he got cleared. So I don't see how they could have set that up though. If you didn't know someone's going to order something there, and you're a Grubhub guy, and you're just getting an order and you're just delivering it, how can you plan out unaliving people? When are you just sitting around waiting and you've got all your kit in there and you're ready to alive anybody that looks like a good prospect when you get an order and you get to their house and you're like, oh, this is the house? I don't think so. That'd be too risky. No planning, and he wouldn't know anything about the property or anything like that, or what it looks like inside, how to get in and out, how many people's there. He wouldn't know anything. So, anyways, what do you guys think? Does anybody want to say if they think that he did it or he didn't do it? Does anybody want to say if they think that something that they've heard or seen is BS, is a conspiracy, is hearsay, or is true? I thought we'd have. Oh no, yeah, I did put it on YouTube last week. We had a lot of people from YouTube, but so if anyone wants to say anything like that, if not, then we'll just continue talking about what we know. So, hey Adam, how's it going?
Um,
So we do know that it happened. We do know the times that it was supposedly occurred, that it was within a 15-minute window, which is almost like ninja skills for anybody. But that would lead one to believe, myself included, that it was very tactical and had been practiced. The movements had been practiced, and it was almost as if someone would have had some military training or some law enforcement training, or a lot of experience doing this kind of thing. Um, that being said,
like
he
he had
also,
done it before.
oh yeah, yeah. Whoever did it, it wasn't their first time. They couldn't have got in and out that fast without being clearly seen. They couldn't have gotten in and out that fast, even though they came in through the second or they came in through the third floor, right? Because there were stairs that went up through the third floor, and there was a glass door, a door they could come into the third floor, and then they could go back down on the inside stairs, and he went out the second floor, sliding doors, glass doors on the second floor. After he was inside, he came back out on the second floor, sliding glass doors that were at the end of the hallway where Ethan, Xana, and Dylan's bedroom were at, on that same floor. And that she saw a bushy eyebrow man in a ninja costume, which is why I said ninja skills, whoever it was, if it was or wasn't him, allegedly, ninja skills. Somebody had ninja skills, and they looked like they had ninja skills. They were dressed as a ninja.
I'm just wondering, allegedly, if it wasn't that Kolpaka guy that killed himself.
No, I was just fixing to say that. Yeah. That's why I said
And
that it seemed like it could have been a tactical person with military experience or law enforcement experience, and he did have military experience.
and then Brian went in to make sure that the job was done.
Well, we don't even know that both of them went in. There weren't two bodies seen. There weren't two people seen. Unless one of them was a naked man and he likes to red rum people in his birthday suit. And then Brian came in there looking like a ninja after him. I don't know. They should just get arrested just for that.
Because Brian is obsessed with the whole murder thing or red rum thing.
Well, that's alleged too.
allegedly.
Yeah. I mean, there's supporting documentation of him talking about that and him making different like posts on blogs and stuff like that in different platforms about.
I mean, he went to school for it.
No, there's actually supporting documentation where he was talking about how he wished that he could do that to somebody. He like made a rap song and put it on this one website, and they found it and I saw it. I watched it like legit, actual in front of my face, a real thing, wasn't just hearsay, where they had the lyrics and it had his face on there. It was some kind of account that he had from some kind of social media platform where he was writing a rap song and the lyrics were below it and he was talking about why couldn't he unalive somebody. So that's a supporting document. That does not make you look good in a case like this or a situation like this. And the fact that he had just tried to or was just interviewing and had posted. I don't know how far he got into the interview process. I'm assuming he was almost finished because it was midterms right after this happened, and he left for Pennsylvania. It was midterms on December 13th through the 15th. So before that, sometime, in the months before that, I guess he had kind of like a thesis and a project that he worked on with another partner, I believe, and he had posted on Reddit and some other platforms. No, it might have been like the year before that. I don't know the date. Anyways, he had posted on there asking for volunteers that had any criminal experience, criminal knowledge, that had created and done criminal activity. He wanted them to come forth as a project that was actually supported by the school or by, like the criminology program itself. And he was asking for people to come and give and answer some questionnaires. But the questions on it were freaking weird and they were freaking self explanatory. They were questions that you would ask somebody if you were going to create a red rum. I'm just going to go say it. Like
Yeah,
almost like you had a fantasy
I've
about it.
seen
Huh?
that. I've seen that.
Like you had a fantasy about it and you just were living
Hmm.
vicariously through the eyes of the people that had done it so that you could gain their knowledge or experience or their insight on it. That's what the questions seem like to me. Like if I'm going to learn how to ride a bicycle and I want everyone that knows how to ride a bicycle to come tell me how to ride a bicycle because that's what I'm planning to do. It was kind of like that. It was very much like that. So maybe that, I don't know, that'll probably be brought up. Both of those probably will. I'm really curious about the naked man, if that's a real
I
thing or
mean,
not.
he wrote a manifesto since he
Um,
was since he was a kid,
yeah,
and saying that he doesn't love his parents. He feels no love for his parents.
yeah, that he has a problem that he doesn't have any feelings. He's numb,
Hmm.
and then um, just a lot of things. Like some people I've heard have said they have nothing on him. They don't have a case on him. They don't have enough evidence. They don't even have enough. Um, they don't even have enough probable cause. And I just was like, "Are you serious? Are you joking me right now? Do you know anything that they have?" For one thing, we don't know how much they have. It's probably a lot more than we think, or they wouldn't have put a gag order on it. If it was only the stuff we know about, there wouldn't be a gag order because we already know. You know what I'm saying? So there has to be stuff that we don't know about. We don't know about anything that came back after they sent the warrants to retrieve the information from all those social media platforms and accounts. We know nothing about any of those. We don't know the findings. I think that's going to be a huge piece of crucial evidence on the prosecutor side. Um, I don't even know 100% if they did that for everyone that was involved and lived in the house, but I'm going to assume that they did because that would only make sense if they warrant if they sent a warrant to all of those people that lived there and Brian Koberger's, like companies to get all that information because obviously anything's going to support the other evidence they already have, like catching him sorting through trash and putting trash sneakily into his neighbor's trash receptacles at his parents' house. The fact that he left town and he went to his parents' house, and the fact that that friend that we're talking about that was a Marine that was named Brent committed suicide
Hmm.
like the day
Yeah.
before Ryan left and went to Pennsylvania. Kind of. What do you want to say? What's the word? Kind of. I don't know. Suspicious. Kind of suspicious. Um, and then you have the alleged leaked information that he supposedly followed all of them, which I know you could probably just have went to their social accounts and looked to see if he had liked all their photos, but supposedly he had liked everything of Kaylee's, all of her Instagram photos, like every single one, and he had followed Maddie, Kaylee, and Xana on Instagram. Um, Supposedly, allegedly, we don't know who, but he has one of those people's photos in his phone that he saved or downloaded off of probably some social media platform that they had that he followed. Um, the fact that the knife sheath had his DNA on it, which I can see them trying to say that it belonged to the Brent guy and that he was with him that night and that he was just sitting in the car and Brent's the one that went in and did that and it had his DNA because they were together or he handed it to him or something to that effect. I could see him going that direction with it. But I also could see him leaving it there because, and I could see why he didn't say anything to um, Dylan Mortensen when she opened the door and saw him and froze and then shut the door. I could see him not seeing her in the dark because of his mental and physical disabilities with the visual snow um, thing that he has. I don't know if you're going to call it like a physical ailment. He has some kind of disability. Um, it's called visual snow, and it's like if, to my
I've
knowledge,
heard that.
huh?
I've heard that. I just
Yeah, I looked it up to see what it was about because I just wanted to know if I had ever encountered anybody else that I knew that had it because I always like to know and be knowledgeable on every, like mental disability or physical, ailments or chronic problems that people have. I just like to know that stuff. So it said that basically you see stuff like if you turn the TV on, it's got snow all over the screen, like a bad reception. Like if you had some rabbit ears and you're trying to move them around and get a clear picture, before the picture's clear, when it's got all the snow on it, that's what you look at and that's what you see with the visual snow problem. And it also would cause chronic migraines for him really often, which I'm pretty sure they said he had weed in his car. That's probably why he smoked it. I think marijuana was found in the car. They said a green leafy substance. So, I mean, I'm just assuming that's what it is, unless it was peyote. I know. Are you there, Dawn?
yeah.
Well, we
You
need to
you
tilt the
keep
world for a second.
you keep freezing.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
That's weird. Oh, maybe if I close this other tab. I don't know. Watch me close the wrong tab. Like, now you see me, now you don't. I do know that he had some other conditions too. I can't remember what they were though. He had a lot of depression for many years, and supposedly he did heroin to get rid of the depression and to cope with visual snow and headaches. But then he one day got clean before his college years and decided he wanted to reinvent himself and went and got some kind of therapy and started doing a detox and strict vegan diet, which he was still doing up until the time that he was arrested. I don't know if he is now. I'm assuming they have something he can eat there that's not meat. But that he was doing all of that stuff because it was supposed to help stabilize and like get rid of some of the headache and the visual snow and the depression issues that he was having that were all kind of mixed together. He had something else wrong with him too. I just can't remember what it was. But like I could totally see him trying to say that the Brent guy was with him and that's why he committed red rum on himself, unalived himself because he couldn't deal with what happened. But do we know he really actually? I didn't see an autopsy report or medical examiner report saying that the cause of death was unaliving himself.
I don't know if they can put the other guy there or not.
I don't
Shame
either.
on him if he tries to put it off on that other guy.
Well, some people are speculating that he's going to smear Brent's name by trying to put it on him. And he can't be there, obviously, because he's not alive anymore. He can't be there to defend himself. So that'd be pretty terrible. But I do believe in very, 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 very bad forms of justice in the karmic realm if you do something like that. If you do
Yeah,
something like that to someone that is not even there to defend themselves because they are passed on, you're gonna be haunted by them forever, maybe even worse.
yeah.
But I know that guy Brent had served in the Marines, and he had PTSD and some other issues going on with him. Maybe they said I like depression. I don't know his history and his um, where he was served or stationed or anything like that. So I don't know,
It's pretty sad. I don't know if Adam, are you still there?
I'm gonna go out and come back in.
Okay,
You stay there.
okay. I didn't know if I was freezing and or if it was her. Because sometimes if I freeze, it'll look like everybody else is frozen. I didn't know if it was me. Okay, Adam. I did. Did it look like she was freezing to you, or was it me?
See me now?
Okay, there you are.
You guys see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. He said he's here. Hey, Adam. So, and then there's several other just kind of crazy things, and supposedly the drug cartel resides in that town. That's like a whole other realm of criminal activity. um, I haven't watched them yet, but I have two documentaries saved about Sammy the Bull and John Gotti that were both part of the mafia, and I haven't seen them yet to get a little bit more insight into that. But I have seen some things about the influence that the mob or the mafia has and the drug cartels have. They have influence in prison and jail. They have influence outside of jail. They have influence in schools. They have influence in police departments and in law systems. They have influence in bars and clubs in the city and the town. They've infiltrated everything that's there. Basically, they've got somebody eyes and ears somewhere. Um, that being said, I did see an act like a document or a news coverage that Brian Koberger was requesting to be moved from where he is to another jail or another prison
What for? That's news
because
to me.
he was being picked on or singled
Picked
out,
on?
like singled out.
He's by himself.
I don't know. That's what it said. I don't
He's
think that's why.
he's supposedly by himself.
Even if he's by himself, though, he's still not by himself. Okay, like
Well, he can other people. He can hear other people, but
guards,
he's nowhere near other people.
but guards in that area and guards that work there have access to him.
Oh,
And remember what I just said, if it has anything to do with the drug cartel, then they have infiltrated the prisons, the jails, the police department, the school, the clubs, the everything. So that being said is based on something that I've seen where there actually was a person that went to jail that took unalive charges for someone else. They were in, they were sentenced, and they took the charges because they were told by the drug cartel and by the gang that they were in that if they did not, their families would be killed. So the guy took the drug charges, and then in jail or prison, there was a member of the drug court or of the mafia, like the mob boss's son was in prison, and he wasn't there. They imported him there by his mother's request, and he was on a mission to take out that guy in case that guy decided to talk, because there was a very really good attorney that was trying to represent him and get him to tell the truth. And so this mob boss's wife had that guy. He was serving a sentence for unaliving someone himself. The mafia guy was. So they had him inserted to that prison. And he was there for one reason only. And he was only there for 24 hours. And he was there to go find that kid and unalive him so that he couldn't tell the truth. And he actually, that did happen. It's not a true story. I don't think it's based on a true story. It's just a show that I watched. But anyways, I'm sure that is all based off of, some kind of reality. But yeah, the kid that took the charges that didn't even create the unaliving was then unalived in prison so he wouldn't tell the truth. Ain't that crazy? So that shows that like the mafia runs. I mean, even gangs like the Aryan Brotherhood and all that stuff, they have people in prison, in jail, and everywhere. They've got people. And they put hits out. The higher ranking people do, and the people that are in those spots carry them out. So that was the first thing that popped in my mind. He was asking to be moved to an all women's pod, an all women's facility, an all women's jail. That's what he was asking to do. Yeah, that was a specific request.
After he supposedly killed 3 women.
I know, that's what I was thinking. I was like, ain't none of them crazy wenches in there want him with them. I don't think so. They are not going to want him in there. I wouldn't.
Oh, go ahead and put him in there. They'd kill his ass.
They might. He might be surprised. Because really, if you think about it, what kind of crime does a female actually commit to be put in there too? There's plenty of sadistic female criminals out there. Plenty of red rummers, females in there in places like that, and that are crazy or that are like psychopaths or they're like, criminally insane, all the above.
There'd be some crazy women in there to get a hold of him.
Well, they might be more enraged about it than the men were because it was women victims. Except for one. But yeah. So I did see that about a week ago that he was requesting to be moved to an all women's facility somewhere. I thought that was really odd. I was like, is he just trying to get in there to like sweet talk them, or what's his motive? What's going on here? What's the tea on that? I don't know if they did it or not. I didn't go back and fact check or like follow up on that, but I haven't seen anything else about it, so they probably did not. Because pretty much every day, if any movement happens, there's media coverage virally posted about it everywhere.
There's a camera on him 24/7.
Yeah. And I also saw that the lady on News Nation, what's her name? Ashley something, told him that she has a flip phone that she's been calling the prison every day to leave her number so that if he wants to talk, that he can call her back.
Yeah, no, she has a burner phone.
Burner phone, yeah. That's what I meant.
Calls him every day and leaves a message.
Yeah. But everyone was saying, is she being for real or is she just saying that? Like, is she being for real or not?
I think she's nuts.
She's taunting him, apparently, but if he did that, he'd be stupid since there's a gag order. He'd be just further incriminating himself. So I think he'll be smart enough not to do that. God, I hope so. He could be doing it right now. We don't even know. But anyways, I don't know. That's a common thing with reporters. I've seen several different cases where people were convicted of multiple unalivings, and the reporters write to them and write to them and connect with that criminal and keep on, usually until they finally get some kind of interview over the phone or in person. There was another one called the Back to School, uh, KILLRRR. You know what I'm saying? And he finally agreed to let a reporter interview him multiple times over the phone. And I think it was mostly because he just like actually was comforted by her voice and stuff, being a female, and he didn't have a real mom, like a good mom or anything like that. So I think he really just wanted her to call so he'd have someone to talk to, because he wouldn't tell her a lot of information about any of the details that he never had revealed. He'd tell her he wasn't ready to talk about it right now and he wasn't sure if he should. Hey, Lauren Paoletti from Virginia. How's it going?
Hello.
Paoletti or Paoletti? She looks really familiar. How's it going? So, if anyone wants to say their thoughts on this case, anything about the Idaho 4 case, as long as it's not vulgar and completely like unrespectful towards either side, go ahead. Don't be disrespectful towards the victims or the defense, the defensive side. But I don't want a war starting. Is that a cat?
Yeah, it's my peenie.
Yeah. I had also seen some footage of from a police officer last week answered a noise call, a noise disturbance call from people in the neighborhood that surrounds right behind that cul-de-sac where their apartment was at. It's just a couple apartments up the street, or a couple of duplexes up the street. There was some kids having a really loud party in their back patio that lived just a couple of, it was 11:22 where all the Vicks were Alana unalived, and this was at 11:27. So it was just
Mm-hmm.
literally like a couple up the way. And some police came last week and had to get onto them for a noise complaint. And I don't know if you watched that one, but the girl that was broadcasting the footage had pointed out that they're down in a basin, right? They're down in a cul-de-sac, but it's down in a basin. And to one side of them, there are all these houses, but to one side of them, way up high, is this highway. So this highway comes right behind these apartments. Pretend this is the back of the duplex, and you can see in all the bedroom windows of all the rooms. And this highway comes like right here, and someone could just stop and they could literally see people doing whatever they're doing in their bedrooms, all of them, from the backside. And she pointed that out, and I thought that was kind of crazy. I was like, wow, that would be totally stalker, like, euphoria.
Damn.
Yeah. I think it's
Yep.
stupid that they were even out making this like loud noise complaint after people just, like got red rum just a couple duplexes up and it's all boarded up, you can see it from where these kids were at that it's all boarded up. That would be a reminder to me to not be doing that. I don't know.
They're college kids. They don't care.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Young and dumb and full of dumb. Young and dumb and full of rum. How about that?
That's right.
Young and dumb and full of rum. They were.
Full of something.
Yeah. I don't know. She pointed some other things out too, but yeah. Like she was kind of mocking the police officers and stuff, but I mean,
Yeah, they look kind of cocky. I
some
seen
of
that
them,
one.
yeah. Yeah, and there was also a town nearby, right next to Moscow, where some kids were arrested for drug distribution charges because a kid from that college campus overdosed a few weeks ago. I think that's the one they found his body in the river, right? Is that the one?
I don't know if I seen that
It might
one.
not be the same body. It might be a separate case altogether, a separate person altogether. But
I don't think I seen that one.
this kid bought some smack from this girl that went to school at the Moscow, Idaho campus, or she lived in Moscow, Idaho, and she was supposedly associated with all of the kids that partied at that house.
I
Anyways,
watched her DUI thing.
yeah. Well, she got arrested after that. That night, she got arrested for DUI. And then
Yeah.
after that, I think it had to do with something that was in the car that night. And she said, "Oh, anything that's left in the car is my friend's."
Yeah.
There was drugs in the car, and they tied her to those drugs, and they worked, like on connecting the dots and tracing it back to that kid that overdosed had bought those drugs from her and some other guy, and they both got arrested for it and got drug charges. So I don't know. There's all kinds of crazy stuff going on there, and it's just like beyond this horrific massacre. It's beyond that. And the net is cast very wide. I feel like, and it's I don't know. I just wonder if a lot of organized crime is connected to this case. It's very likely. Hmm?
I don't know, but it's getting pretty crazy.
Yeah, well, all of the other deaths and the suicide and the overdose and the body in the river, like really, and the death threats that were made that night at one of the clubs, like, and the video of the frat house with the guys in it. What was it called? Chi Omega, I think. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Somebody threatened Ethan that night.
Yeah, but the guy that threatened him was from Chi Omega, I'm pretty sure. And Chi Omega did a promo video, giving a tour of their fraternity. And while they were doing it, they're stupid. They didn't clean all the blow lines off of the tables and the furniture.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, there were blow lines there. So that's, a giveaway too. And they were talking about a fundraiser, which I thought there's been so many speculations about money laundering that first light bulb that came on over my head was the fundraiser that Chi Omega, again, quote, and don't quote me on Chi Omega, it might be something else, but I think it was Chi Omega. They're doing a fundraiser every year, and they've raised like $30,000 one year and like 50 something $1,000 one year, and it was for countries that are like third world countries, some kind of like charity for them, some kind of fundraiser for them. And I was like, that would be a perfect way to cover up money laundering in a town that has organized crime and drugs. I don't know. That might be too far fetched. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe that will come out somewhere. I always connect all those kind of dots. Just basically like a big what if, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can tell, like, me and Dawn have way too much free time that we've been spending watching this case.
I know. We've been passing stuff all week.
Yeah, back and forth. Yep.
Mhm.
And I didn't watch the last one that you sent. What was it with it? They had the brunette guy on the video. I started to watch it, but I didn't get to, and it was students get tied up with cartels. I didn't watch that yet. Which is funny because that's what I basically was just talking about.
I know. The most important ones I send you, you don't watch.
But I knew already, kind of. I mean, I need to still watch it and see what they say. And then you sent me the exculpatory evidence, which is what they said that they were subpoenaing Brittany Funk for, was that she has material exculpatory evidence that is crucial to interview her for the preliminary hearing and for this trial or this case. I'm just dying to know what that is. And if she says anything about a naked man, if she says anything about a naked man and it's on national TV, I'm just gonna die. I'm gonna die. I'm probably gonna have
I
to
don't
record
think
it.
it's going to be on national
I'm gonna
TV.
record it and put it on TikTok. The naked man rumor's true. There was a naked man and a ninja and a red rum and an unaliving all in one place
I don't think it was.
within 15 minutes. That's kind of crazy. Huh?
I don't
Honestly, you
think
know
it.
what? The naked guy. You know who the naked guy could have been? Ethan. He was staying the night with Xana. They didn't say he had clothes on when he was found. Did they?
No, they didn't.
They just said his wounds and how bloody it was. They didn't say anybody had clothes on or didn't have clothes on. Nobody. Actually, they didn't say any. None of them. They said anything about what clothes they had on. It's probably being held in a gag order to be used later to try to trick somebody into saying what they were wearing. I'm assuming, or if they weren't wearing anything. All I know is the wounds, what type that they were, what were inflicted on each individual Vic, and that there was a lot of struggle and fighting back from Xana.
Yeah, I know. I heard that. I heard Xana tried to,
Yeah.
fought him
But
big
they
time.
said that one of the other ones, the one of the other females did too, tried to fight back. I mean, I don't know anyone that wouldn't, unless you're really like passed out and you don't see what's coming at you because, I mean, that's happened before. That has happened before. Or at least virtuously, it looked like that was what happened in one case that I know of, that everyone was unalive in their beds and there was no signs of struggle from any of them. So, anybody have any thoughts? Anybody read any crazy stuff like there was a naked guy that was spotted running through the house that night? It could have just been somebody that had way too much liquor and they didn't know how to hold it. And they were like somewhere in the house. I don't know.
I don't know. I didn't really hear all that much this week. I mean, I heard a lot, but not a lot. I
Um,
mean,
I did hear one other um, podcast, and I don't know. They were arguing why this was not released to the public in the beginning. So I feel like there has to be a document somewhere about it, and I actually think I actually might have it saved in my phone. I'll show it to you if I do. But there was actually a podcast, and they were talking about something that had gotten leaked or that had been part of one of the affidavits, maybe the one that was the subpoena, I think. And the information had not gotten, or it was no, the original when the police first came for the 911 call. But it was explaining why there was no phone call made for 8 hours. I don't know if it's true. I've got to look and see if it's a legit document. And legit, I mean like multiple cross references, different resources that have this document. Not someone that could have made a fake document and put it out there just to get publicity or attention. Or anyways, it said that the reason that they did not call for 8 hours, they really were passed out at night. And then Bethany woke up. Another girl came out of her room in the morning and they went and they saw Ethan. And they called his brother and I think his best friend.
yeah.
First, before they called though, they saw him, they were in shock, and they ran outside screaming and in shock. And people came, and that's why there was a crowd. And
Yeah, none of them passed out.
one of the girls actually passed out.
Yeah, I heard that.
Mm-hmm. Which is actually like super in all aspects makes total sense that could have happened and would have happened. So that she had passed out and the other girl hadn't, but she couldn't get her words out and say what was happening because she was in such complete shock of what she had just seen. And they think that the brother and the best friend came in, and the the unexplained, like who is actually identified to have owned the phone that was one of the roommates, that someone else called 911 from that phone. It happened outside when the girl passed out. Someone took either hers or Bethany's phone, or Dylan's or Bethany's phone. I don't know if she's the one that passed out or not. I think maybe Dylan passed out. I'm not sure. Anyways, one of the people that was there took the phone and called 911 and said, I need to report an unconscious person because literally they only knew what they saw from the outside of the house and it was an unconscious person on the ground. They didn't know what was in in those walls yet until they went inside. And then I think that one of those boys went upstairs, or the girl that didn't pass out, or it could have been the girl that did pass out. One of them went upstairs and saw um, Maddie and Kaylee and what had happened to them too. So everyone that was giving her crap, I hope that's actually what happened. Just to get some of the smoke screen and the pitchforks off of their direction.
Yeah.
Because ridiculously nobody was there. Nobody can have any clue what they would have done. And I'm pretty sure that if that is what happened, the passing out and the screaming and being in shock totally makes sense. Her seeing the masked assailant walking up the hallway and shutting the door and not doing anything and hiding to save her life and still being here to tell about it totally could have happened. Because no one knows what someone's brain is going to do in that situation and how it's going to try to help that person cope with what they're seeing, hearing, and what they're experiencing. I think that's one of the main reasons they want to interview Bethany Funk, because after it happened and now it's been a little bit of time, the shock has probably worn off some. They're wanting her to testify to her, what they said, her unique experience of what she saw and heard that night. Now that it's been a little bit of time, I think that they think it's the right time to ask her more details. That is so weird. I thought my phone just rang. But yeah, anyways, I thought my phone just rang. But
And
yeah, anyway.
survivor's guilt is rough because I have survivor's guilt.
Yeah, I do too.
You know, with a lot.
2 different times, actually.
Yeah, a few different times. And
and they're going to have to go to all kinds of therapy, and they're going to have some kind of PTSD now for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Unless they're medicated and vegetated. Hopefully they don't have to be. Hopefully they can come out of that. But yeah, like my survivor's guilt isn't even from seeing something to the horrific. Like yours is it from your wreck?
Yeah, from my wreck, and you know, I was the one that was hurt the worst in the car. I survived it, and I know others that have been in the same similar accidents, and they did not survive.
Yeah, I guess I can relate to that, but I was in a really bad wreck, but I didn't have survivor's guilt from it because no one perished in the car with me. Go ahead.
You know, I've had family members, close friends, good friends. Hi, Joanne. You know, Joanne's luck of the draw. You know, I had a cousin, you know, pass away years before my accident, died of the same injuries that I had. Um, just she had a horse fall on her, and you know, died of the same brain trauma. Just I had my accident happened close to a hospital, as hers happened in Southern Illinois, and it was away from any major hospital. So I lived. She didn't. She was a good person.
Yeah, my
And,
survivor's guilt. I had a
there was
cousin.
a
Oh, good.
lot of survivor's guilt there.
Yeah, I had a cousin that called me that was really close to me, like closer than any of my siblings. And he was like my brother. And he called me when I was in Navy duty in Greece. And because the days and nights are flip flop between here and there, it was nighttime there and I was asleep. And he'd call me all the time, but since I was asleep, I didn't answer the phone. And I think I want to say he had called me on Facebook because I had told him when I'm gone, you have to call me on Facebook. You can't call me on my phone. And I slept through it. And I woke up the next morning and I saw that he called. And I was like, man, I wonder what he wanted. And I tried to call him back while I was, trying to get ready to get up and report for duty at 0 dark 30. It was still dark outside, so it was really early. And I didn't get a hold of him. And I was like, well, that's not abnormal. And so, because when it's morning in Greece and I'm getting ready, it's nighttime here in the United States. And he was from Oklahoma City, so he would have been asleep. And so I was like, well, no big deal. And so I'm getting ready, and I'm almost ready, and I was probably about to put my, blouse on. And my mom called, and she's like, Rhonda, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm getting ready to go for duty. And she's like, I need you to sit down because I need to tell you something. And I was like, what happened? And somehow it's like I knew, and I definitely knew it was going to be him. But she had told me that I guess after he called me, he called his brother's wife and talked to her for a minute. And then he hung himself.
Oh,
And it messed me up for a long time, thinking about how if I would have answered the freaking phone. Because when he was really upset, I was one of the first people that he would always call to try to talk him, sense into him, to try to calm him, to try to reason with him, or to get me to help him because he had a bad breakup recently, and he was trying to get me to call some girl. And I was like, what am I going to say to her? So I did message her, and she never answered me back. And I guess that kind of just pushed him over the limit, like over the edge. And I just felt like in shock. I didn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And
sorry.
yeah, I couldn't believe it for a long time. And I had a best friend named Jessica passed away. She had a really bad car wreck. So the shock and all the stuff that those people went through is a real thing. When I got to the hospital because her husband called me and said I needed to hurry and get there because she had been in a really bad wreck and she wasn't going to be around much longer. She was just hanging on. And he said, you need to hurry and get here. And I had my, like emergency lights flew there as fast as I could. And when I got out of my car and I walked over the front door, one of our friends grabbed me and stopped me. And he said, you can't go in there. And I was like, yes, I am. I have to see her. And he's like, no, you can't go in there. And I was like, I have to. And he said, she's gone. And I literally screamed to the top of my lungs and I blacked out and fell on the ground and hit my head. So I completely understand how the body and the mind can work when something that's totally unexpected and horrific and terrible has happened and you just find out the shock that takes over your body and your mind. And it's a real thing. Because all of our neighbors teach their kids how to drive by the time they can reach the gas pedal because by the time the ambulances get here, we would be already at the hospital. That's really smart. That's really smart. Very smart. I taught my daughter to drive when she was young, and my dad taught me to drive when I was really young too. So that is really smart, especially if you lived in a rural area where you don't actually have an EMS. there in town, and they have to come from the next town over, or even further. It'd be smarter to do that and hurry and get there. We live in the country, so it's a 5 and yeah, a given. I knew what you meant, but I was like, I don't know what word she meant, but I know what she meant. Well, thanks everybody that's joined. It's 9:01. If there are
Oh
more,
wow.
yeah, if there's more big developments in the case, then we may continue this next week, or we may start a completely other subject or case. We'll talk about it like later, and when we start the link before the show, you'll know. So tune in next week at the same time, on the same night, on the same places. We'll be right here. And thanks for joining, everybody.
Good
Um,
night.
I'd like to request like a moment of silence in your households for just a minute to like kind of like honor the families and the victims from the Idaho 4, and prayers for the families of everybody involved, even on the defense side. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.